All right, what's up? This is episode number 12 of the Rudis Wrestling Podcast. Matt, I wanted to talk for a second before we get started about my Mental Monday, and I want to see if you have any input to it. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
love to hear it.
Well, so my Mental Monday, and I think you and I maybe, if my memory serves me correctly, have briefly discussed this topic, but I thought it was only fitting for Thanksgiving. Everyone sits around the Thanksgiving dinner table and says, "Hey, I'm thankful for this," or "I'm thankful for that," or whatever they're thankful for. Um, and so I was talking about the concept of gratitude and how I think a lot of high school kids have the chip on the shoulder, the me versus the world. But if you retain that chip on your shoulder as you get older, it's just kind of weird and very negative for your life. How do you feel about that?
No, it's just like an emotional drag that continues to wear you down, right? If you're trying to use some external force to get you motivated to be successful, eventually that well's going to dry up and you're not going to be able to rely on that anymore, right?
That's how I feel.
And
I feel the other thing I feel like is when, and I said this in the Mental Monday. So obviously, you guys know I used to do my Mental Monday on the AWA Facebook page, and now I do it on the Rudis page. So I'm sure you guys will be seeing that. But the other thing, Matt, I think when you're really negative like that, everyone's against me. I think what you do is you draw a lot of other negative people into your life, as opposed to a bunch of positive people in your life. And so that's why I think that maybe more than almost anything is the huge factor is that you're having a bunch of negative, angry people around you. And it makes you kind of downward spiral ish.
yeah, because I think a lot of times, I mean, this sport is really, really tough. It's really difficult to train at the level you need to train at to be successful. And most guys are looking for a reason to rationalize being mediocre, right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
don't want to sacrifice, they don't want to
Boo,
live the
Matt.
lifestyle.
I love that. I love what you just said there. What the hell? What was the word you just said? There's something to be mediocre. Satisfied with being mediocre. Is that what you said?
They're rationalizing mediocrity.
Okay,
Yeah.
rationalizing being mediocre. I love that. I'm going to use that phrase, stolen from Matt Durnlin. Put it into my vocabulary. I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So to your point, you know, there's very few guys that want to go above and beyond in every area of your life.
Yes.
It's much easier to justify or rationalize getting pulled to the center where
Yeah.
everyone else resides. And
Absolutely.
so when you're using those negative influences to motivate you, you're going to have other negative influencers trying to pull you down and suck you away from what you know is right. And so
Yes.
yeah, so then gradually more and more there's layers of these attitudes and these personalities that surround you, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get sucked to the center and you're just an average mediocre person.
I love it. I love the way you pose that. I've never used that terminology, rationalizing mediocrity, but that's exactly what it is. It's people. I think sometimes people don't realize how hard it is to go and above and beyond and be exceptional, and it's a lot easier to blame it on outside forces than it is to just actually accept and admit that you're not willing to do the work necessary to get wherever you need to go. So yeah,
So
let's continue our gratitude throughout the entire year. So Matt, I wanted to say I am thankful. Now this is only my 12th podcast with Rudis, but obviously Tommy and I go. I think we went 109 or 110. So I've done 122 podcasts over approximately 3 years, and so I am really grateful that I have a platform to talk about wrestling. Because if it was just me and you sitting in a room, we would probably have the same exact conversation. And now, enough people are choosing to want to listen to us. That this isn't like a sole profession, but this is kind of a nice side job to have to get to talk about wrestling, do something I love, and kind of spread the message. So I'm
yeah, and I
grateful for it.
think yeah, I'm grateful for it too. And it's funny that you opened with the attitude of gratitude, as I
Yeah,
like to call it.
attitude of
Um,
gratitude. There we go. I'm gonna use. That's two phrases I've stolen from you now, Matt.
I'm just churning them out left and right today. But I think one of the things we were talking to the company about last week, because we're in the heart of our busy season. Orders are flying out left and right. We're selling out of everything, and we're running at a very high level, and it's a very intense pace. And we just had to remind everybody at the company here is like, look, we're working in the toy aisle of life, right? We
Yes.
get to come in. We're really, really busy. We're very intentional. We're very intense, but we get to make people's years.
Yes.
We get to supply a product and talk about wrestling, design wrestling, and give things to the wrestling space that nobody is able to do. And it's a really fun thing to do. So it's all about context. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Cool. So let's get into it today. There was not a lot of wrestling last weekend, so I guess we got to see Iowa compete against Purdue. We got to see Oklahoma State compete against Wyoming, and so that kind of got me to thinking, um, what could, if it's even and listen, if Matt, if you want to say this is totally impossible, what would it take for Ohio State, Iowa, or Oklahoma State to do, and we can go through each of them individually, right? And obviously, I would like to talk about Oklahoma State and Iowa because we just got to watch both of them compete. What would it take for those teams to do to beat Penn State? And if you want to say, Ben, this is impossible, you're insane, why are we bothering with this? I'm okay with that. So, what do you say?
well, I think if you're talking about one individual force taking out Penn State, I think that's going to be a tall task for any one individual to accomplish that feat. I think if it's going to happen, it's almost going to have to be by committee, especially in a tournament setting. I think it's going to be a really, really tall order. And I think you're referencing the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, that's
Right.
that's essentially. Obviously, I'm not like all guys are like a lot of people who say nothing matters till March. I think that's freaking stupid. I think it's very short sighted. I get that is like the biggest thing by a ways, but it's not definitely not the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I think if we're talking strictly from a dual meet standpoint, I think that's going to be a monumental feat for anybody to achieve that. Now, different things come into play, injuries, sickness, whatever. I mean, Penn State may not have their full 10 guys out there at one individual time. So there could be an opportunity that someone upsets them. I think it's unlikely,
Well, I mean, I think
but
if you look at Penn State, obviously, um, their team is, I would say, not quite as strong as last year because what you have is you have Zane Rutherford, who was, I believe, 29 or 30 points, which is a crap ton of points at this NCAA tournament. He's not in the lineup. At 25, right now, they're not getting very many points. And I'll say it, I was super impressed with Roman Bravo Young at 133. Um,
that's a super deep weight class,
Yeah,
right?
well, that's what I was gonna say. I look at this weight class, and you got someone like Montori Bridges, who we'll talk about him at versus Dayton Fix. I mean, he's ranked number 11, and he was an All-American last year, just to show you the kind of depth that weight class possesses. I mean, a guy like Austin Gomez, the junior world team member, he's number 14. And so, if you're making hay in this weight class, man, that's, and then even just the top six, Dayton Fix is number 6. I don't see Roman Bravo Young beating Dayton Fix. So I don't know. Dayton could obviously move up from there. So, but that's a tough weight class. I think then you also look at 41, another really tough weight class,
Super deep.
super deep. And so, can Nick Lee finish as high as he did last year? Sure, he could. Could he finish lower? I mean, you look at someone like Mike Carr, ranked number 7, and Nick Lee lost him at the Big 10 finals last year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not guaranteeing Lee is as high as he was last year, and then you go 49, and I don't know there's, again, any points there. Obviously, from 57 on up, they're going to score a huge amount of points in every single weight class. So I kind of think that's what I'm thinking about Penn State. I don't know. Is there any other points you want to highlight at Penn State?
No, I think if you can point out some weaknesses, and it's relative, right?
Yes.
It's the bottom half of their lineup, 25 through 49, is if you could say they're somewhat vulnerable, they are. But I guess the one thing in the back of everyone's minds is that Penn State has always wrestled above their seed, two
All
or above their seed,
Yes.
right?
I actually
So you got
I
to
did an article on this many years back, Matt. I don't know if you ever paid attention to my article. I wonder when the last time I updated. I'm gonna try to find it right now for you. So what I did a very, very simple calculation. All I did was I did their seed, and then I did whatever they finished. And if they finished round of 12, it was 12. If they finished round 16, it was 16. If they finished round 24, they got 24, right? So that's not you're not perfect in there, because you can't really put a number. Say 9 through 12, you can't put an exact number on it. And then I did how much was that plus or minus their seed, and then I averaged it out over the whole team. And yes, Penn State was, I believe they were the best over the course of whenever I did it. So I'm gonna go back while you're talking and try to find that for you. So yeah, but Penn State typically wrestles above their seed.
So yeah, I mean, if you look, not to rehash what you just already talked about, but most likely they're not going to score any points at 125. They could possibly qualify at 125. 33,
Do you
really
want to
deep.
talk about Teasdale leaving school? I mean, I don't really have any more details than what was announced publicly, but do you find that to be shocking?
No, I don't really have any information, so I don't really like to speculate
Sure,
or go
that's
off
fair.
rumors or off the forum rumor mill or anything like that.
Yeah.
There was a release from Penn State, so obviously, there's something going on with Teasdale. Hopefully, it's something he can remedy and get back on track. And when you see a talent like that has the wrestling abilities that he has, I mean, you want to see them at least have the opportunity to do the best that they possibly can. So whatever the issue, I don't know what it is. Hopefully he straightens it out. Hopefully he gets back on track. Hopefully he's back in state college next semester. I'm sure there's some things from a compliance and an eligibility standpoint that they would have to work through
Yeah,
if
I mean,
he.
obviously he's gonna get 0 credit. If he withdrew, it means he's getting 0 credits this semester. And so, he's already way behind on that. So yeah,
Now, if there was a medical or a mental health issue, and again, this is all speculative, but if there was a health or a mental health issue, there are waivers that you can submit to the NCAA that could make him eligible to
okay.
compete immediately. But again, that would have to be documented and approved by the NCAA. But there is some leeway where he could navigate through to actually get back on the mat next semester. But most likely, like we said, Penn State's probably not going to score any points at 25. At 33, I think Roman Bravo Young has looked phenomenal in a limited sample size of competitions that we've seen him in. But again, Penn State's always shown that they can wrestle above and rise above their seed. So if they're able to do that, um, that's going to bode well in their favor. But that's again, that's not guaranteed. I think, like you said, there's 15 guys that legitimately could make a deep run, get on the podium at the NCAA tournament. 41 again is just a hammer weight class. So Nick Lee, I don't know if you would actually predict him wrestling above his placement from a year ago.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, he's gonna have to wrestle well to do so. If he has a subpar tournament, he's definitely not wrestling, above where he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, a few of the guys from a year ago, Jack and Meredith have graduated, but they've been replaced by good quality guys in the
Yep.
rankings. So to say that he's going to jump above his placement at the NCAA tournament, I think right now, you could say it was a stretch. And then at 149, I don't think the starter at Penn State's determined yet
Yeah.
between
Ber-
McLaren and
Bergie.
Berge, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that'll shake itself out by the beginning of the new year. So that, yeah, there are some vulnerabilities there, and I think the rest of the country is probably going to have to take those lower weights out by committee. I don't think
Yep.
there's going to be one individual team that you can point to that says they're going to knock these guys off. So
Yeah.
I think that the door's open. How wide it is, I mean, it's probably a sliver, but
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I was looking at that I think hurts both Oklahoma State and Iowa is, so the weights I would say that are we talked about 33 being so deep, and we talked about 41 being really deep, but 57 I don't feel like is a super tough weight class. And Iowa's ranked 13, and Oklahoma State's ranked 18th. So they're not really making up anything there. And that's where Jason Nolf's number one. But if you can get a guy in at 4 or 5, obviously you're not losing that many points comparatively. And then at 84, again, I think that weight class is kind of thin up top. We saw Taylor Venz almost lose to the Wisconsin Mason Reinhart last week. Shakur is going to finish pretty high in my opinion, but Oklahoma State is 14 and Iowa's 11. So again, another weight class that's not super deep where they're not making up any points to those weight classes. So I think that hurts quite a bit. Hey, Matt, I guess
Yes,
I found my article. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, it was last updated in 2016. So I do need to, so that means it was a 2015 NCAAs. So I have to add 2016, 2017, and 2018 NCAAs. But so this is 2009 to 2015. So that has 7 years of data. That's a fair amount of data, right? So now when I do it, I'll have 10 years of data. So Penn State was the winner. And so what I said, I just did plus or minus to seed. Obviously, if you have a bunch of really highly seeded guys, it's hard to even wrestle to seed because you can't go above 1, right? And if you're seeded 3 and you go to 1, it's a +2. But if you go down to the round of 12, it's a -9. So
Gotcha.
Penn State was the only one that was even positive in this scenario. They were 0.07, which means they wrestled very close to their seed. So that it was Minnesota at minus 0.16, Cornell at minus 0.3, Mizzou at minus 0.65, Oklahoma State at minus 0.97, and Iowa at minus 1.72. So Iowa had a rough go. And I actually kind of went through year by year. I actually did a really good job on this article. This seems like it's way above my writing level. I swear I did this. So it said in 2015, for example, Mizzou wrestled way below their seeding level. And if they could have wrestled their seeding level, likely they would have won the national championship. Another one in 2014, Penn State only won by 5.5 points. And Minnesota wrestled not to their seeding level because they had, I think it was, Dardanes and someone else dropped the ball. So, obviously this, like your point, the seeding does affect, how you wrestle NCAAs to your seed affects your placement, which I guess that's
Now,
kind of obvious.
did you dig a little deeper and dig into bonus points in relation to their seed too?
I did not. Obviously, this is just me having fun. This was not my job in any way, shape, or form. I actually have another statistical project coming down the line, Matt, that I'm super effing psyched about. And so I think it's going to be done within the next week. And I'm gonna hopefully we'll get to talk about it on the show because to me, I'm a nerd, but it's super fascinating. It's way more in depth than this one.
So turnabout's fair play. You're teasing me here. You always accuse me of teasing what we're going to release next on the Rudis side of things. So turnabout's fair play.
I'll tell you. Listen, I'll tell you. It's off topic for doing. I am doing a statistical breakdown. I'm using some of my wrestlers to help me. But I'm doing a statistical breakdown of all the scoring at the World Championships from the round of 16 on, and then including both bronze medal matches. And so I've seen stuff like this before, but I never liked them because they weren't in depth enough, in my opinion. Right. So actually, if you were to look at mine, what we're doing, I think it has 57 scoring categories. 57 different ways you can score. And so now obviously some of them cross over, right? And so like the first category is kind of broad, control tie shot for headlock mantis, other stuff. Now, obviously you could do it. So points can go in multiple categories, right? So if I go an underhook to a shot, that's both a control tie score and a shot score, right? And then if I take the shot and I push you out with the shot, you would also get a push-out point from the shot. Does that make sense? So it would score in all those categories. Yeah. And so we are done with 5 weight classes. Oh, wait. Weight class number 6 is almost finished. And so I think the most mind-blowing thing, this is mind-blowing to me, Matt, so far, and you would never in your wildest dreams have predicted this. The gut to lace scoring is almost 6-1 for gut wrenches.
Really?
Can you believe that?
Huh.
When I saw it come in on the first weight class, I was like, nah, that's a mistake. That's like that's an anomaly. And then
I thought it'd be more like 60-40, right? Or somewhat in that range.
If you would have said gun to my head, what scored more points, lace or gut, I would have said lace. without
Yeah.
like thinking too deeply about it. I would just think in my head, well, if you get a lace, you can get 8 to 10 points, and the match could be over. Whereas gut wrench, you got to kind of earn every single one. Yeah, so when it came back on the first weight class, I was like, wow, that's got to be an anomaly. And on the second weight class, I was like, wow, it happened again. The third weight class, I was like, what is going on? This is like abnormal, And so, yeah, now we're almost through 6 weight classes. It's still almost 6-1 gut to lace points. So, yeah, pretty
Wow.
blown away by that. So yeah, I'll save that for a few episodes. So let's go into Oklahoma State as a challenger. And we can talk about this duel they wrestled against Wyoming.
One other point I wanted to make about the team race, where I think Penn State has a big separating point over the rest of the field. When you look at potential, and you can never guarantee a finalist, right?
But
But
if Jason Elf doesn't make the finals, I'll jump off a bridge.
Right. And so you would say most likely like Jason Knoll, finalist, Vincenzo Joseph, finalist, Mark Hall, finalist, Bo Nickel, finalist. So if you had an over-under, you would probably say those 4 would probably most likely make the finals. If you had,
I'd put it at I put the over-under at 3.5. They don't like doing even numbers because then there could be the tie. So I'd go 3.5 or 4, or you could go 4.5 if you think there's a chance that, and I think there's obviously a chance Shakur Rashid or Anthony Cassar. How do you said his name differently, and I know you know better than me. How do you say his name?
I think it's Cassar.
Okay, Cassar.
I know a lot of people say Cesar, but I think it's Cassar.
Yeah, Cassar.
Okay. I'll try and get the correct pronunciation.
Okay.
From my past performances, that's not my strong suit either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so we're saying, anywhere from 3 to 5 finalists.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you look at Iowa, if you look at Ohio State, if you look at Okie State, right now you could probably say they have 2 that you would feel strongly that they would have 2 finalists.
Let's see. Let me think about that stat. Iowa, I'm only saying I have 1 that I feel confident about. Spencer Lee, obviously. Oklahoma State. Who are you super? I don't know if there's any.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I could see Pitchenny making it. That wouldn't shock me. I mean, here's the thing. I could see Pitchenny making it. Wouldn't shock me. I could see Dayton making it. Wouldn't shock me. Brock is a stretch, but if you said it happened, I'm not like, oh my God, how did that happen? But then like Chandler Rogers, I don't see it. Jacoby, I don't see it.
White, maybe. Heavyweight,
maybe. Yes, they got some maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. What we're saying with a lot of these other teams,
Ohio State would be the one that I could see more of them making it. But I think at this point, Ohio State has some holes they need to address before I really would lean heavier towards them.
Yeah, so with Ohio State, I would say a good chance would be 41, 49, 84, 97. They have very, very good possibilities of making it to the finals.
Yes, I agree.
And probably all of those scenarios would have to play true to form for them to be in the hunt to potentially knock off Penn State. So I guess what we're saying with Ohio State, Okie State, Iowa, Cornell, there's got to be a lot of scenarios that fall in the right place at the right time in the third week of March for them to be in contention, where I think Penn State has more margin of error, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to hear a stupid stat before we talk about the Oklahoma State duel?
Sure.
I love stats, if you haven't noticed by now. I looked at 174 pounds, and the top 6 guys, if they continue the way they started, all of them will be 4-time All-Americans. Do you think that's the only time that's ever happened?
It's got to be.
That's so abnormal.
All 8 guys?
No,
that's unbelievable.
So I'm sorry, top 6.
Okay.
Valencia's already got 2. Hall's already got 2. Amin's got 2. Lewis has 3. McFadden's got 2. And Kemmerer's got 2.
Wow.
I know. And Cutler was ranked number 4 his freshman year and didn't make weight. Otherwise, he could possibly in that conversation also.
Yeah, he was the number 1 seed at EIWAs that year and didn't make weight, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was a pretty fantastic stat. Okay, let's talk about the Oklahoma State duel. I thought kind of overall, and I actually listened to John Smith went off. He did an interview on Flow, about 10 minutes. I thought it was good, although he forgot his words a few times. He was not happy with the performance. I thought the performance was a lot worse than they performed against Minnesota. I thought overall they looked pretty good against Minnesota. Um, match by match, you could kind of pick out some issues, but I thought they looked pretty good. And against Wyoming, I didn't think they looked that great. Who knows? Maybe they didn't. They didn't. Maybe they trained through it. Maybe they didn't. Take a few extra days off like you need to. Maybe they all went home and went ham on Thanksgiving and didn't cut their weight right. I don't know what the issue is, but I didn't think they looked very sharp. Particularly if I'm going to pick on one person, Cade Brock. He comes out like, and I mentioned this last week in the McKee match, but he comes out like dynamite. He gets 4 takedowns in the first minute 30. He gets the 5th takedown before 2 minutes, I believe. And man,
then it seemed like the tryptophan kicked in, right?
Seriously, hit a wall, got ridden out for a long time in the second, gets taken down, ridden out to end the third period. It's like, if we're talking about if we're talking about Oklahoma State being a challenger, I could see Piccinini making the finals possible. I think he looked good. Dayton Fix, we'll talk about him in a second. But Cade Brock, if I get the Cade Brock that's in the first 90 seconds of that match, I could say I could see a finalist here. If I get the Cade Brock the last 2 periods of that match, I'm saying, is this dude going to All-American? I mean, there's just it's like a tale of 2 different worlds there for him.
And you would hope at this stage in his career, and I'm sure this is where John is frustrated
because he's a junior.
He's a junior now. I mean, you're accustomed to seeing those things in the first 2 years. Like, okay, working through, but the one thing that you always want is from the coaching standpoint is having a level of consistency that you can count on from your performance, especially your seasoned guys. And when you're talking about a junior and senior, you should consistently have an expectation set for a guy that's been on the podium, right?
You would think.
But I think that's been the case with Cade Brock his first 2 years.
Like I said, I always gave him a pass because I thought he was cutting so much weight. That was my interpretation of the situation. He was cutting too much weight. He needed to do it for the team because they had Dean Heil at 33. I'll give him a pass on that. On the 1 hour weigh-in, if you're forced to make a weight class, sometimes that's what you got to do. But he's up at 41. He looks filled out. He doesn't look sucked down. Man, there's absolutely no excuse for him at this point to not be having. No, I don't want to say even average cardio. His cardio was significantly subpar.
Yeah, and I think you do have to give credit to Mark Branch, head coach at Wyoming, like coming back into Stillwater. They've been talking about this match.
Yes.
This is an important match for them. They want to fight. They want to be prepared. Talking about having a chip on your shoulder or whatever. In these scenarios, you can go to the well and try and leverage that with your athletes, get a little extra motivation out of them. And I thought all of Wyoming's guys came out and they fought. They were outmatched and outgunned at a number of weight classes. But the one thing that they consistently did throughout their lineup is they brought the fight.
Yeah.
And
so
it just seemed in some areas like the Okie State guys, as opposed to what we saw against Minnesota, they kind of sat on it once they staked themselves to a lead. They didn't smell the blood in the water. Like, when I saw the first minute and a half from Cade Brock, I'm like, man, he's got the blood in the water. He's going to put this guy away.
Seriously.
And then he just kind of sat on it. And you know how it is. I'm sure you preach it to your athletes all the time. Once you shut it down, once you sit on it a little bit again, it's hard to start the engine up again and get it going at a very high level. And I think, that second period when he went underneath, it's like, okay, I'm going to, take a deep breath, hang out here for a while. And then it was hard for him to get restarted after that.
Yep. 100%. I agree with that. Exactly. So 49, I was impressed. I think Caden Gefeller is doing a great job. So obviously Boo Llewellyn, he is hurt. He's out of the lineup. They got Caden ranked down all the way down there at number 15 now. I think he could be better than that. And this is one of those where I say, we'll talk about 57, but they didn't look great at 57. They didn't look great at 57 last week. Shomers is far down there. It's like Gefeller if there's any way they could They could put Gefeller at 49, bump Llewellyn up to 57. I think that could possibly, and who knows? John Smith's a great coach, so I don't want to question. But to me, it seems like that could be a better scenario than the one they're currently using. I don't know if you have any feelings on those guys.
No, I agree with that. I mean, at this point, the way the team race is going, referencing back to the team race, you have to have all 10 guys winning matches at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's probably got to be the thought and the goal.
I mean, I could see Gefeller sneaking into All-American at this weight class at 149. And then, we talked about 157 not being that deep. And obviously, Boo Llewellyn did, he All-American last year at a really tough 149. And so, maybe he's just too small. I don't know what the story is. I'm not close to that program, so I don't know what the story is there.
Yeah, I have no idea, but you've got to be thinking that today in the office, the Okie State staff is already projecting out certain scenarios, right?
I would project think so.
Ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, so Oklahoma State, what I see here, Matt, is we talked about Penn State having way more finalist potential and but some weaker weights, and we kind of talked about the same thing with Ohio State. What I see from Oklahoma State is if they get their shit together, they could potentially have 10 All-Americans. I could see Pitch. I could see Dayton. I could see Cade Brock. I could see Gefeller. I could see if they bump Llewellyn up to 57, Chandler Rogers, Jacoby Smith, Dakota Gear's got some work to do. Weigel and White, really, I think 8 of those guys are ranked in the top 8, I believe. Is 7 or 8. And then it's like, well, where's Joe Smith going to come back? And they are being weirdly tight-lipped. And Matt, I have, I'm in tight with the rest of me. I have heard all the way from he's cutting back to 57 to he's going up to 84. I have no idea what the hell Joe Smith's doing. I wish someone would talk about it. And I didn't hear John Smith talking about it in the interview after the match. So, where's Joe Smith fit into this picture?
Right now, like where he's projected, he looks like the odd man out, right?
Well, but can he really go? I mean, someone said he's certed for 57. Obviously, everyone's been saying he's huge. I mean, but a couple of years ago, if you ask me, Joe Smith versus Chandler Rogers, I'm saying Joe Smith all day. But maybe I'm wrong on that. And the other thing is like Dakota Gear is good, but man, I feel like Jacoby Smith could be better. I mean, he didn't look great against Wyoming, but he's ranked 6th and 74 is a beast of he's ranked 8th, but 80, 74 is a beast of a weight class compared to 84. Obviously, again, in my opinion, but I think I think if they bump him up, that's looking like you could have All-American in every single weight class, and that's what if you're Oklahoma State, that's exactly what you need. So I
mean, you would think because like you just said, they don't have any guaranteed guys or guys that they can pencil in and say this guy's a lock for the finals, right?
None of those guys.
So when you have that reality facing you, you're like, well, we better have strength in numbers. That means we got to put 10 guys on the podium and find the best way to do that. So, it should be interesting probably in a couple weeks at Reno.
Yep.
Okie State will probably have multiple guys at several weight classes. So
where do you think Joe? Where if you had a bet on it, where's Joe Smith going to pop up at?
74.
You think so? Well, what do you think? What do you think about the 57 rumor? You think that's shenanigans?
I don't think at this point, from what I've heard, and again, I don't have any good sources. I'm not really close to anybody in that program, but from what I've heard, Joe kind of likes to be fat and happy a little bit.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, so I think maybe the thought is like, there's no way possible he can hold 157 and perform at a high level from November through March. So, but maybe he can do it for a short period.
So you're saying he's going to sneak down to 57 for the end of the year?
Maybe just for a month and a half, right?
You got inside information?
No, I'm just speculating here, but that would be my guess, knowing that he probably can't hold it because that was kind of his problem his freshman year, right? Yes. It looked like the season and the weight cut got to him by the end of the season. Yeah. So maybe they're saying, hey, we know he can't do it for 5 months. Maybe he can do it for 6 weeks, as long as he can stabilize his weight, control it, and get to the point where he can perform at a high level for a short period of time. Maybe that's a thought.
I don't mind. I don't mind that thought at all. That's interesting. That would
Yeah.
be some very good sneakery by John Smith. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm down on Matt. I'm down on that speculation. Okay. 65. Chandler Rogers. I know he's had battles with Branson Ashworth. I know Branson Ashworth's good. Chandler Rogers did not look very good. He really didn't. He couldn't get any offense going. I know he's a big move type of guy. I know he doesn't have a great leg attack, but man, he didn't really get anything going. And he's ranked number 5. Ashworth was number 9. Um, yeah, Chandler has looked a lot better, and I kind of mentioned that about the whole Oklahoma State lineup. Um, yeah, Chandler just didn't look good. I don't know if there's anything else to say about that. You got anything else to say, or you just want to
Yeah. I
leave it at
mean,
that?
no, I mean, yeah, we can leave it at that. Yeah. He just didn't look great.
Okay, Jacoby gets a late reversal to win the match. I did not get to see the Dakota Gear match. I heard he looked all right. 97, they still don't have Preston Weigel back in the lineup. So Marsden, he's kind of a disaster. I don't even know what to say about that. He's all over the place.
Yeah. It seems like that's just the best of what they got for right now, but it's probably not their best.
Yeah.
Probably not their best
They
option
need to get
there.
Weigel back in there. White looks good. Piccinini looks good. All right. So let's go back. We're back to Dayton Fix. It ends the duel. Maybe I'm being hard on him because he's beat now. He's a freshman. But obviously he's made us expect a lot out of him. He beats his second All-American in a row in Montory Bridges. But he couldn't get the legs. He wasn't really close to a takedown, except at the end of the match when Bridget was kind of kind of firing off some loose attacks. I'll tell you 2 things I love, and I kind of said this last week. I said one of these last week. I love how he takes ground. He really covers distance. He pushes. He presses. He works the hands hard. And I love how aggressive he is in the scrambles. He is not scrambling to get a stalemate. He is scrambling to score 100% on that. So I love those 2 things. I would just love to see Dayton develop a little more reliable go-to offense.
And I went back and watched the match again this morning, and it's not like he doesn't have any tools offensively, but what I was looking at is it didn't seem like he is fully committing to his attacks. He was shooting just to shoot, but not shooting in a fully committed way. Because he had some nice leg attacks, but you know what I'm saying? It didn't seem like
No.
he just fully committed to the attack. Because I thought from the setups he had with the hand fighting, the openings he creates with his hand fightings, if he would fully commit to the offensive attack, I think he could score some more points.
Yes.
But on the flip side of things, it's like pick your poison. If you want to get into a shootout with the guy, he's like, okay, bring that. I'll keep scoring off your attacks. I'll keep pace
Sure.
with you. But now he showed he can win in a variety of ways because um obviously Montory Bridges, I think the game plan there was like try and slow him down, you know,
Yeah.
try and keep this into a one score match. And it almost came down to that, right?
Yeah,
In the third
I mean, it
period.
was. If Montory Bridges gets a takedown, it's essentially a tied match.
Yeah.
So,
And Fix said, "Oh, if you want to slow it down, if you want to keep it to a one possession match, I can beat you that way too." So I thought there was and we kind of take it for granted that he's got he's older than his years.
yeah.
And just because he's been so dominant on the age group level and on the world level, but he is a freshman in college. And I
Yeah.
think
I
the level of maturity that he showed while he was competing was pretty impressive for a young guy.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I'd like to see him now. And I don't know when he's gonna get a shot at who's ranked above him. We got Gross, Michich, Soriano. Damn, this is a good weight class, boy. We're gonna
So
see a
deep.
lot of these guys, I think, at Las Vegas Invite this weekend. I can't remember. Flo put up a list. I don't exactly recall, but it was a lot. It was like 10 of the top 20 are there. So we get to see some really good matchups. Okay, let's hit the Iowa duel, Iowa versus Purdue. I guess the thing that sticks out to me most, Matt, is what the heck's going on in Iowa City. Spencer Lee didn't wrestle. Jacob Warner still hasn't wrestled. Who else set out? Kemmer didn't wrestle. We're missing one more. Who else didn't wrestle? Lugo didn't wrestle. Is that right?
Yeah, five of their starters
Like
were out,
what?
I believe.
And I believe Tom Brands did an interview. Don't quote if I'm wrong as well. I think he said that will be their lineup for the foreseeable future. Meaning, those guys. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they have prolonged injuries? Does that mean they're having weight issues? What does that mean?
Yeah, so maybe there's, maybe the extent of these guys' injuries, they will return at some point. They just probably don't know if and how soon. So I'm sure Tom Brands is erring on the side of caution at this point.
Yeah. So does Iowa State and them wrestle, which obviously has been historically a great rivalry. Recently, probably not such a great rivalry because Iowa State has not been very
Not
good.
so much.
Uh,
Mm.
does Iowa State have any chance at winning if Iowa has all those people out? Or
No,
probably not. No chance.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Iowa State is going to be dramatically improved over a year ago. Dramatically improved to the point where they can even beat a shorthanded Iowa lineup.
Yeah.
I think that would maybe a stretch.
Okay. I'm not as familiar with Iowa State's lineup. Yeah, I just looked through their roster. I don't think they have a chance at beating them even with all of those people out of the lineup. So, okay, so from Iowa, obviously, we know what we're getting from Spencer Lee. DeSanto, I was impressed how Thornton was able to keep him out of the ties, and kind of shut him down. And we've talked about it now a couple times, but man, 33 is tough. Um, you know, if he can't, if DeSanto can't get to his ties, he kind of struggles to score another way. I don't know. Is that a fair criticism?
No, I think that's a very fair assessment. I was where I would like to compliment DeSanto. He's shown dramatic improvement in his top game,
Yeah,
and
he wrote
he's
for
kind of
quite a
one of the
while.
yeah, and you could tell it was a concerted effort too. He wanted to cut the guy,
Yes.
and Brains was saying stay on him. So obviously this is a point of emphasis
Yep.
in his development. He's kind of the outlier when it comes to your normal PA guy. Like he's
Yes.
more of the Ohio guy. When you think of Ohio guys, you're like take him down, cut him, take him down, cut him. And that's kind of been DeSanto's MO in high school and last year in college. He didn't even show an interest in riding guys.
Yeah. Not at
But
all.
I was I was impressed. I was impressed. I mean, Thornton is very good on top. He was able to get out, and then he rode like a dog on a bone, in that third period.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, okay, let's see. So Max Buren looked good. I couldn't find the Purdue match. I watched him last week. Again, very, very tough weight class. Lugo's out. Caleb Young, another one that a lot of people that they're super excited about, but man, he's got some I just feel like he's got a long way to go till I'm going to consider him in that All American pool. Am I? I don't know. Am I way off on it? And sometimes I feel like I'm
No,
way off. I don't want to be. I know I've been critical of Iowa in the past. Uh, I don't want to be unnecessarily critical. If I'm way off, you can just let me have it.
no, but I mean, the thing is, with their upcoming schedule and the Big Ten schedule looming ahead, I mean, he's gonna have a chance to prove himself consistently week in and week out.
Yeah. So that's gonna be exciting to see. Um, And then for me, not too much exciting out of the rest of Iowa's lineup. I guess that what a lot of people would point to would be Steve Bowman, Chevy Dodge bumping up, taking out Christian Bruner, who is ranked number 12. Um, for me, that's kind of a non-starter because I think it's been said Warner's gonna be the starter. So it's not like you can bump the guy up to heavyweight. So what's the point? I don't know. Kind of what's the point of having a good backup there? It's not like it gets you any more points at NCAAs. I mean, I don't. Is that good win by Steve Bowman, but I don't know that that gets them any more points at NCAAs. And I am very, very, very. I'm curious to see how Jacob Warner does. I didn't know he was injured. I want to see him in the lineup. Um, and so I'm excited for him to get back in there.
Yeah, I'd be excited to see that. outside of that, is there anything else we need to discuss with this duel?
No, that's it. Obviously, Stoll wasn't in at heavyweight. I guess he was the other one. We didn't say Stoll. Stoll was also not in the lineup. So Iowa, very shorthanded. They have Iowa State this coming week, and then they have Lehigh, who's very tough 2 weeks after that. So that'll be a really good test for a lot of their guys to see how that goes. I would be excited for Kemmer versus Cutler. I think it's going to be a really good match. And also Parker to Santo, I think should be a pretty good match. I know those guys are fairly familiar with each other. And that's all I got. And Matt, so I guess we'll give the.
Well, there's one other thing that we got to give some love to, a guy that you kind of been hard on in the first couple weeks of the season, Gable Stevenson.
Oh,
you were wanting more points out of him, right?
The bum. Give me a break.
Yeah, but he scored points. You wanted more points. Maybe he was.
Yeah.
He put some points on the board, right?
He did put some points on the board. Yes, good job, Gable. Are they at CK? Are they at the Las Vegas Invite this week? Minnesota.
Yes.
They are. So he should see some good competition this weekend. So we're gonna have so much to talk about next week. We're gonna see a lot of wrestling this weekend. And then Matt, we will tell everyone, make the announcement that I get to interview Carrie Collett later this week, unless we have technical difficulties, which hopefully we will not. But I will be very excited for that. I've been a big fan of Carrie. I did say I got to sit down and talk with him only one time, but I'm going to be excited to talk to him some more. So that should be fun to have him on.
Yeah, efforting to make that happen for the next podcast. In case anybody hasn't seen it, I would encourage people to we unveiled Carrie's first Ask Colette, where people can call in and ask Carrie a question. I don't know if you got to listen to that, Ben, but it was a fascinating listen. So if you hadn't seen it, I would encourage people to tune in and listen to Carrie's first episode of Ask Colette. Some really great stuff.
Nice. I have not seen it. I'm going to check it out. But yeah, great. I thought that was fun, Matt. I thought we didn't even get to talk about Ohio State. I thought our discussion on Iowa and Oklahoma State was really good. And so, obviously Ohio State's going to be at CKLV, so we're going to see where a lot of those guys stand this weekend. So I'm excited for that. But that's all I got today. I hope you have a great day, Matt, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Take care, Ben.